Jennifer Holmes. I'm in Florida in the United States. I'm a local Slow Food chapter leader, a beekeeper, and I've been a delegate for Slow Food International's event, Terra Madre. I'm really excited to be part of Terra Madre 2020. In this video of how it is made, I'd like to share with you an easy way to make your own honey wine or mead, using things that you have around in your region where you live all over the world. I hope this video gives you some encouragement and inspiration to make mead. It's very easy to do. First, let me share with you some things that we have right here where I live without having to go to the store or the market. Either myself in my own neighborhood or my own yard, I have access to food that is delicious and is seasonally available. This is a summer squash called Seminole pumpkin. It's on the Arc of Taste with Slow Food. It's a really special squash that lasts for a really long time. It keeps very well. It's a very large squash, so it can feed many people, and it grows really well in the conditions here where we live. Here is another very large fruit that we have just being harvested at this time in July, called the jackfruit. Again, it grows very easy here in the conditions that we have. It's subtropical and very warm here in the summertime, and usually fairly dry, but we have a lot of rain this year, so we have a lot of fruit and food being harvested at this time. Here is a nice delicious mango, again just off one of my trees or my neighbor's trees, and we all share food with one another, which is another special thing to me that I find is an expression of Terra Madre and what makes Terra Madre so special, not just for the 5 days that you might be together at the event in person, but to share all over the world and to bring it home and to make it a way of life. So on to some more ingredients for mead. Well, we need some honey, and I am a beekeeper, so I have access to honey, but if you don't have access to honey, maybe you could try to find a beekeeper that's local to you in your region, and maybe you have something that you grow that you can either share or trade with them for some honey, or maybe you can offer to share some mead with them when it's done. They usually people get very excited when you offer to share something like that after it's been made. So we have a few honeys here to show you how drastically different and beautiful each honey is. One very light in color and one much darker. This one is from blackberry flower blossoms, which are actually also being harvested at this time in the summer here in Florida. And this one is from a little further north from where I live, but still in the southeastern part of the United States. This is sourwood. It's a tree, and this is a delicious honey. This one is fairly sweet, and this one is not very sweet. So for today's recipe, I'm using a summer honey. That's something that's very easy for me to have if the conditions are good. And this year we're fairly favorable. Like I said, we had some nice rain, so our bees were able to make some delicious honey from the palm trees. And these palm trees have a lot of flower blossoms for the bees to visit, and because it's so hot here and humid, there is a lot of moisture in this honey, sometimes over 18%, which really renders it desirable to fermentation quicker than honeys that are under 18% moisture. So this is an ideal honey for making mead. I have some water here. You'll notice the water already has a little tint to it. It's not clear. It started out as very clean water, but I wanted to use every last drop of honey from the container that I started with, so I'm encouraging you not to waste any of your honey. You can use your clean hands or a spoon or whatever you're stirring with to add the water to the container to get all of the honey out and use every last drop. This is a gallon, or approximately 3 3/4 liters of water, and you'll also notice it's not full to the top. This batch that we're making is the recipe is for a gallon, but you want to leave a little space for the honey and any other ingredients that you may add, which could be fruit or spice. or even leaves from grape leaves are great for tannins. I like to use grape leaves. If you don't have grape leaves, and these grow very readily here, so I'm encouraging you to look around where you live and see what types of things you have available. And I'd love to learn about them too and hear about them. If you have nuts like almonds, there's a lot of tannins in almonds. Tea, a lot of the different tea plants have some tannins, and you only need just a little bit. Same thing with acid. A nice batch of mead could use a little bit of acid, so either the peel or rind from an acidic fruit like a citrus fruit. In this case, the citrus fruit is a little out of season, but I happen to have some lime juice stored in the refrigerator, so we're going to add about a teaspoon of lime juice to our recipe today. So far we have about a little over a half to 3/4 of a gallon of water. We have 3 pounds of summer honey, which is ideal for a gallon batch, and also going to add some honeycomb. The honeycomb came directly from the hive that we got this delicious summer honey from. And this honeycomb is rich in pollen, and it has a lot of color in the pollen, so we know the bees were visiting multiple flowers. I feel like the yeasts that are naturally occurring in this pollen and all of the different flavors from all the different flowers are going to add something really nice to this mead. I also have some bananas that look a little dry and petrified, but this is a type of banana that isn't very sweet, so it has the ability to dry inside like that and still have a soft and nice edible texture to it. And I think a little dried or fresh fruit in the first stage of making mead is a nice addition. The other thing I'm going to add is a date. I absolutely love dates. Any dried fruit, grapes, dates, figs, anything that imparts a warm, soft flavor will be nice, especially if you're adding the acid. It's a nice balance. So here we go. I've already put the honeycomb that I'd like to use in a bucket. This is going to be the container that's going to start the primary fermentation. And again, this is very easy. You can use any container that you have available. This container has a lot more room in it than is necessary, but that's okay for the beginning stages, no problem. We're going to go ahead and add the water. I'm going to save just a little bit of water in this container so I can clean out my honey bowl and get every last drop of honey. We're going to add our summer honey. I've washed my hands, so I'm comfortable using them to clean the extra honey out. I'm going to go ahead and add the banana, the lime juice, and the date, which I'm going to make just a little bit smaller. It's okay if you add the pit from the date, but please be aware, whatever fruit you're using, to remove the pit if you're not sure if it has any toxins. However, in many cases, fermentation will render out the toxins, but still, just to be safe, I like to recommend not using them until you're sure. At this stage, we can go ahead and stir it. A spoon like this is really special. In some cultures and in places in the world, they feel like their fermentation spoons made of special wood hold some bacteria and yeasts that they've used from subsequent batches of making things. So they simply rinse them with water and allow them to dry, and they keep them in an area where they do a lot of their fermentation. So I wanted to share that with you. At this stage, you've mixed everything together. The easiest thing about this recipe is all you have to do now is cover this with a loose cloth, whatever you have available. I happen to have a strainer bag that works really nicely. At this stage, oxygen is good to get mixed in because the yeasts that are naturally occurring in our environment, plus what's already in the products that you added to your mead, will start the process of fermentation. If you could stir it once or twice a day, keep it in a cool, dark place, you'll start to notice it bubbling over a course of a few days. Then you'll know fermentation has begun. At this stage, the yeasts can start to convert all the sugars that are in everything you've added into alcohol. After it starts to bubble would be a great time to transfer it to a smaller container that really will hold all of the liquid and not leave a lot of extra space. At this stage, you also want to keep oxygen out, so you want to introduce an airlock. You don't have to have any fancy equipment to do this recipe. If you have a plastic container and a balloon or a glove with a rubber band, you can use those as your equipment. You just have to remember to burp them each day, so let the gases out as the balloon is filling up each day, and that's the yeast that's converting those gases out of the sugars that are turning into alcohol. After a few weeks, it will settle down. The bubbling will slow, and the gases will stop filling up the balloon, and your first primary fermentation is almost complete. At that stage, you need something to strain your mead into another container. Once you transfer it into your other container, as long as the fermentation process has completely stopped, it will hold and keep indefinitely, and in fact, over time will become even more delicious. Taste it at this stage. It may seem a little harsh, but that's okay. Like I said, it will age and mature and mellow out over time, and I think you'll find it delicious no matter what. Enjoy the process of making mead. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something, and I encourage everyone to make some mead, and I hope to see you in the future at another Terra Madre event. And I'd love to hear your feedback, and if you do make mead, please let me know about it. Again, my name is Jennifer Holmes, and I wish you all well. Goodbye.